two gorgeous Bentwood chairs, or they would have been gorgeous a really long time ago, but look at them now. Oh, the bases are kind of like a thickened cardboard. They're not even timber, and they're in true need of restoration. But the thing I do like about these, except for the bases, there's nothing wonky on these little bad boys at all. So I'm going to give them a very classic makeover, new seats, some new upholstery, and maybe a little set of gold socks. So the first thing for us to do is to try and lever up as much as we can this existing seat. I really don't want to damage the frame though, so I'm going to try and lever around those nails. Some of this is so fragile that it's just going to fall to pieces. Let's hope the chair doesn't fall to pieces with it. And we'll use some pliers to try and get out some of those old nails, pliers and hammer. Got it. Alright, so you can actually see the old traditional construction here. It is literally a Bentwood seat. It's fantastic. I absolutely love it. So this one is relatively sturdy. I think we could shore it up just a little bit. Next thing for this will be a good sand and a first coat of paint. When we're doing two, I always like to have them up to the same level of construction. It just makes it super efficient. These nails are not going anywhere. They're stuck fast. After a sand, I do like to use a thick paintbrush to remove the bulk of the dust before I use a clean dry cloth to get it ready to paint. I'm decanting the paint into a small sealable bucket so I can easily come and go as needed, and I'm using a Porter's chalk emulsion paint for this project. When you're painting something with so many surfaces and curves and twists and turns, it is so important that you keep looking back on where you've painted to avoid missing any drops or runs. These chairs were such a vivid aqua blue that I've had to do 3 coats, lightly sanding and dusting in between each of them. Now these Bentwood chairs are all done and ready to go for a wax, but they've come up quite rustic. They did have quite a heavy coat of like a chalk or emulsion paint on them before. And so what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to kind of dress them up a little bit. Make the old girls a little bit classier. So what I'm going to do for her is I'm going to give her some stilettos. Well, not really. I'm going to give her some beautiful gold metallic socks. That's right. So on every single one of these legs, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a gold foil leaf finish. Now to do that I need quite a few things. I need some painter's tape so that I can mark off exactly how far up the leg I want the sock, a tape measure to make sure that they're all the same height. I need some gold size, which is the adhesive that we're going to put underneath, and then I need the beautiful gold leaf. Now, to do this I need 2 separate brushes, one for the size and one to apply the gold leaf. But before I get started on that, what I do want to do is make sure there's no super rough edges down around this bottom here that might break up the foil. It is a little bit sticky and a little bit tricky to do, but I notice the more I do it, the better I get. Right, so what I've done now is I've marked it off. I have taped up and I'm going to put the gold size, which is effectively the glue, onto the bottom of these legs now. I need to wait then for it to dry for about 10 to 20 minutes. So pretty much anywhere that you put this glue, the gold leaf will stick to. Now I do always, to be honest with you, I like to try one before I get too far into it. So whilst that size dries off, I'm going to mark up the rest. Alright, so the size has dried off on this one. It's nice and tacky. And now it's time to pop on the gold leaf. It's a good idea not to do this outside because it is very fine and blows away. Now, no pun intended, I'm certainly not gold standard when it comes to gold leafing or gold foiling. But I get it done and it ends up looking fantastic. Beautiful Bentwood chairs. They have their gold leaf on the bottom of the legs, but as you saw, there are no seat plates anymore. It is just not working. So what I'm going to do is I have gotten from my local plywood specialist, these are just 50 centimeter rounds. They cost me $20 each, and I'm going to pat them and I'm going to cover them. So we need the discs. We need some fabric. This is some old pillowcases that I got from a secondhand shop. And, hold on, we need some wadding, and so it's nice and cushy on our bottoms. Now, the good thing is when you're doing it this way, you can actually use this as a template. And it is as simple as popping this down and cutting around it. I do like to, rather than try and cut along the edge, I like to just mark it out with a marker, and then it's easy to cut. So I'm just going to draw around, just lightly, make 2 circles. They're identical, so I can use the same plate. And then we can pop that aside. We can cut these out. Just a normal pair of scissors will be fine for your wadding. One of the parts I love so much about this is it's no sewing. So you don't need a sewing machine. Okay, there's one. There's 2. Okay, so we have our timber, we have our wadding, and now for the fabric. I'm actually going to do this fabric at double thickness. I have the front and back of the pillowcase anyway, and it's just going to give it, I guess, that bit more of a quality finish. Similar to when you're doing the foam, you can use a marker to mark out exactly where you need to cut. Now, this isn't an invisible marker. You can get disappearing markers to use on fabric. It's really cool, really posh. But I'm a big fan of using whatever you have available. So instead of drawing right around the edge, because you might see it through the fabric, I'm just going to dot around an inch or so outside of the round. So I know exactly where to cut. So I'm literally just going to cut through this ruffle on this beautiful old pillowcase. Now, these were all washed. I need to let you know, these were all washed because they came with some interesting smells and I'm sure some interesting creatures inside them. And there we go, we have one. And to give you an idea, that is how it's going to come together. Let's get the next one done. Now, I always like to go opposite ends. You just work your way around. If you have to, putting in a little tuck as you go. As you can see, I haven't centered this very well, but one of the things that I really love about showing you DIY is that I can show you it still looks amazing when it's not perfect. A gorgeous chair pad. And for the second one, we do exactly the same process. Fabric down. Remember, I've gone 2 sides of the pillowcase to give it that bit more of an upholstery thickness. This is literally a pillowcase I picked up from St. Vinny's. So I've popped down the wadding, I popped down the timber, and remember, not perfect is okay. Always opposite sides first, and I always like to pull across the smallest seam first. Like with most things in life, I am certain that there's a way I'm meant to do this, but sometimes it is okay to wing it and do what looks and feels good. Alright, if you do have a little bit of excess, you can trim that up. The part I love the most about this chair makeover, or this chair pad makeover, is when you change your mind, you can simply change the fabric. So the last thing left for us to do is to get these attached on top of those beautiful Bentwoods. Thanks for tuning in. Now make sure you're following me on Instagram for all my latest design and renovation inspo. You can find me at Naomi Findlay Official. See you soon.